Hey there everyone, it's Tyler Scott. I haven't done a video in a while. Wanted to give you guys a little personal update about me to start it off. Because I know a few weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, Tony had put a post on the forums on the channel about me not feeling very well. And to have people wish me well, and they did. A lot of you did, and I really deeply appreciate that. It was very nice. So I'll be very honest about what happened. I was in the hospital for about 5 days. I had gone on a trip, a little road trip, and while I was gone, I had caught a cold, and that cold just really went to me, man. And I canceled the rest of the trip. I drove back home. I couldn't sleep at night. I was waking up at 2 in the morning, had horrible nightmares, just felt horrific. Lost all energy, extreme fatigue. And eventually, after a couple of days, my friends and family convinced me in my own brain. I finally went to the ER, and they got me in there, and they fixed me all up, and I'm feeling much better, feeling really good actually. And due to years and years of smoking like a chimney, I'm gonna quit. And eating with reckless abandon and not really taking care of myself, I, at 40 years old, was diagnosed with early onset heart failure. It was very serious, very scary, very shocking. So I've instantly changed my lifestyle. They got me on medication. They got me seeing all sorts of other doctors about it. My medical team have really been on top of it, but I've been on top of it too. And I've cut my smoking back by about 95%, hopefully to zero soon. And I've really changed what I've started to eat. And I've even lost 20 pounds since I've gotten out of the hospital. That was early April. And I weighed myself just this morning. I was down another couple of pounds. I couldn't believe it. And the doctors have all told me that if I change things now, I should be all right. So nobody worry. I'm doing it. And because I realized that I almost ended up in a place like this backdrop here. I was that close. And that's not where I want to be at 41 years old. I come into these mausoleums sometimes in these cemeteries, and I see plenty of people that are much younger than me. And the older I get, the more I understand how tragic that is. Anyway, so I'm here at the Mountain View Cemetery in Altadena, California for my second video. You may remember almost 2 years ago when I came here to the mausoleum, I did a live video for the channel with Tony, and that was my very first video I ever did for the channel. And it was in the outdoor section of the indoor mausoleum, which I'll show you here in a minute, that is owned by the same cemetery. And that was the first time I was there. Now, and as we all know, this was the area of the fires 6 months ago. And in fact, the fire line went right to the border of the northern part of the cemetery behind me. In fact, you can see these are all, look at the trucks coming right now. Here comes another one. Just tons and tons of trucks back and forth. Debris removal all day, just ever since I've been here, back and forth, back and forth. Lots of traffic controls. The burned area is right north of me, and in fact, it technically came a little bit into the cemetery grounds, and it burned down 2 of their maintenance sheds. I think on the other side of the property. We might be going to check that out in a little bit, but they have the cemetery itself is open, but the 2 mausoleums are closed. There's the large mausoleum there. There's a smaller mausoleum over there that is also cool. That is closed. The insides, I guess, are completely filthy with toxic dust and all sorts of just grossness, and so they're in the middle of cleaning it up. In fact, here, let me show you where I'm at, because this is the closest I could really get to the largest mausoleum. Let's take a look at this place. Okay, so this is kind of the closest I can get to in the cemetery. It's technically on 2 separate grounds, but it is owned by the same people. It was separate for a long time. That is the Mountain View Mausoleum. It's big, and unfortunately right now it is closed. It looks like the whole parking lot there's big old empty areas been used for RVs and things, probably for housing of workers or people who live here. But right now it is closed. Now, there's actually been some recent developments about it. Supposedly, and this was on the news here a few days ago, they just started the cleanup last week. A nonprofit organization did. I'm actually going to be looking into maybe volunteering for them, so I might be able to get in there and help them clean it up. which would be interesting, and I would love to do it. I love the mausoleum. It's probably my second or third favorite one I've ever been to. It's not the largest one. It's definitely not the smallest, but it is definitely one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. It was designed by a man, an architect named Cecil Bryan, and he was probably the man who's designed more mausoleums than anyone else on Earth. He designed about 80 of them. They all are dotting all over the United States and a few in Canada. Most of them are still up to this day. One or two have been destroyed. But here's what's the most interesting part about it is he is buried in there. He is interned in a really beautiful couch crypt, actually right behind this big window you see, the big circle window. He's literally kind of right behind there. He saved the best spot for him. He considered this to be his masterpiece work, and so he chose this one to be interned at. But that is the Mountain View Mausoleum. Hopefully we'll have some more info about that soon, and one day I definitely hope to get some footage of the inside, because it was beautiful. Check it out as we speak. Look what's coming up the road. Not just one, but two debris removal trucks going to the burned area. Pretty crazy. All right, so there's an outdoor garden mausoleum up there I'm really interested in. But we're going to walk over here and walk over there and take a look at some of these graves. Look at this one, big, monolithic, like the 2001 A Space Odyssey monolith, Vestal. This, I think, is kind of an older spot. I can see everyone here is from the 50s, 30s, even 40s. This guy here, oh look, this must be, maybe that's what this is about. These are all the Vestals here. Look at that, William Miller Vestal, died 1990. 1943 Vestal, Samuel Vestal. SAW and World War I. SAW, Spanish-American War, wow. Died in 1958. But a couple of just old school, really beautiful cemetery. And it's kind of funny because right behind me, these are all spots too, but there's not a single standing one to be seen except for 3 by the fence. They're all the level ones. There's got to be a name. And then you get right here to this other section, and there's the old headstones again. Look at that. You can hear. There goes another debris removal truck. 1. I count another one here. 2. Here comes another one. 3. Just up and down, up and down. And it's been 5 months since the fire. I remember I read somewhere that it was literally in the millions upon millions of pounds of debris that they have to clean up now. And that was the problem, is it's not just normal debris, fire debris. It's toxic because it's just a mix of everything you could imagine in human culture being burned that shouldn't be burned. Look at this. This is a very interesting tombstone. In loving memory of Frederick and Anna Catherine, 1858 to 1933, 1861, 1947. It looks like the outside didn't get too dirty, but it's also finally rained a bunch of times since the fires, thank God, because that's what caused them, as it was so dry. Had it even rained a little bit in the weeks prior, it would not have turned into such a conflagration. Really, really terrible. Really terrible. All right. Sorry, they're doing some tree trimming over there, I think. That's what you hear. That's my new ride, my new van. I got rid of my truck. Anyone notices? But yeah. All right, let's go take a look at this mausoleum here. All right. Well, forgive the chainsaw noise in the background. They're cutting the trees over there, but check out this individual mausoleum Crange, and it's got some doors on it with a lock, but what's crazy is you can see right behind the glass is some marble, so they got that sealed up pretty good. For individual mausoleums, it's actually really not that big either. Take a look. See? For how big some of these things are. This is nothing. And then there's another one right next to it. It's a little bit bigger. Locket. Did you get it? Because it's locked up. No, I'm just joking. I think it's got some interesting little flower vases. So yeah, Locket. From the famous lock making company. No, I'm just joking. Okay. Yeah, these are solid. Closed, but same thing. You can see the marble, but looks like there's even, you can make it out, in loving memory of Edmund Locket, 1858 to 1944, and then next to it, oh, this one's even harder to see. In loving memory of Liza Octavia, wife of Edmund Locket, 1853 to 1939. Wow. Ugh. Think about how expensive something like that would be today. I mean, even back then, I guarantee you it was expensive, but my God. So we're going to go across the street here. There are some really interesting stones to the left here. Let's go take a look here. Let's see. Seems like a couple of really elaborate stones here. Let's go take a look. So Dervernian, behold, I am alive forevermore. Looks like. In sweet memory of Reverend Sarkis Dervernian and Hadjian, wife Armenia. Maybe they were Armenian. It's kind of interesting because look, I mean, it's just a good mix of these tombstones and then more modern flat stones. These guys, oh yeah, and look, and they're even, I think this guy's family, Jans Dervernian, died 2006, and something Dervernian died 2002. But then that's just weird. Then you have like right here, this is a very unique, weird spot for one. Beloved mother and sister, Cassandra A. King. God, she was young. May 26, 1968 to March 6, 2009. Somebody left some flowers. Let's see her picture. That's a really kind of strange, look, they have a couple like that stuck right in between the rows. Look at some of these big giant ones too. Smith, West, Winterburn. Let's go take a look at this other big one here. This one's got less on it, but it's even bigger. My God, it's like 6 foot, 7 foot tall. Corson with the thing for flowers. It's huge. Wow, they really are just packing them in here like Tetris or something. Look, in between these rows, a whole bunch more over there. And then I guess past that, the empty space you see is actually undeveloped, and that's where they're still expanding. They founded the cemetery 1882. I guess before that, people would, it was the pioneer days, and they were buried on their property. But from what I read, when this opened, apparently a lot of those people on all these various properties around here were dug up and reinterred here over the course of 4, 5, or 10 years, which probably wouldn't fly today, but hey. We're going to take a look at this little obelisk looking thing here. Yeah, look, even some of these are really old. Stevens, 1846 to 1921. And Sarah Stevens, 1845 to 1936. Look, somebody left one of those rocks, those finder rocks here. Let's see what it says on the back. Nothing, but pretty good artwork. We're going to leave them there. Take a look at this thing. Ogden, Mary Scott. Maybe a great-grandmother of mine or cousin. Wife of H.W. Ogden, born November 2nd, 1846, died November 22nd, 1886. She was exactly 40 years old. My age exactly. Wow. This thing is pretty tall. Looks like some white marble. Looks still pretty good after all that time. Look at that. In 1886, that was when the cemetery was brand new. God, look at some of these stones. They look pretty old, pretty natural. I wonder if they even have anything on them. Okay, yeah, they're facing this way. Look at that, 1919, 1966. Probably his son. Yeah, look, there's a hole. These rows face the other way. That's bizarre. The Sharons. Now, I know we're getting into some of the really old parts here because I can see like that tree trunk looking stone. That's very old school. Oh, it looks like we have discovered the baby section. In fact, I kind of suspected that when I saw that tombstone there, the little one with the lamb on it. I have learned that that used to be a very common symbol on children's graves and markers, was lambs, well, for obvious reasons. And their tombstones tended to be very smaller. So right there, E. Jerome Miley III, September 11th, 1920 to October 10th, 1920. Angels in heaven guard me, for I am the heavenly shepherds. Something. But yeah, this is obviously the baby section. Look, Otto Homelack, 1917, 1918. Marion Bell, 1918. Kenneth Clark, 1916 to 1918. Look, some of these are one day. Robert Russell Rice, November 2nd, 1917. Oh yeah, remember the thing I told you about the lamb? See, there's another one. Roy Sandstorm, 1918 and 1920. Rosalind Pearl, 1920. And the same thing. Look at that, didn't even have a name. Baby Somerville, March 28th, 1919. Yeah, back then, it wasn't so uncommon for them to have babies that kind of didn't have names when they passed away yet. I know that sounds ghoulish, but yeah, it seems like the end of the little children's section. There's like a break right here, look. And then still older, but not babies. And then past that is just nothing. It's like a park or something. And I guess right past that that fence was literally where the fire came to. Pretty crazy. Let's go take a look at this old one. I've seen a lot of these up in Colma. These tree trunk looking ones. It's pretty amazing. Look like white marble. Williams and Lewis Winterberg, 1863 to 1915, at rest. Yeah, that's true. Let's take one last look at this other little tiny tombstone here. Virginia Dimitroff, 1, 1918, 5, 1920. Poor little girl, about 2.5 years old. The sun's really starting to come out. It's pretty nice. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hottest time of the day. And it is very, very nice. I am very grateful. This one says, Baby Bob. No date, no dates, no nothing. Just Baby Bob. Well, that was a baby early Hudson. Well, that was a sad little discovery. I didn't know there was a small little children's section right here. There probably is another one, more modern one somewhere else, but that was that one. Let's go explore a little bit more. Okay, so now we're at the farthest, like we're in the northwest part of the cemetery. Near the entrance, in fact, you can see the office and the chapel right through there. And up here, past that brick wall, was their 2 maintenance sheds that burned. and they are obviously gone. And in fact, if you look over the wall, you can see some construction equipment moving, and you can see the trees clearly burned out black. And that's where I remember hearing, I saw the map, that the fire literally kind of came right there and onto the grounds a little bit. But due to the nature of what this place is, it didn't really burn. Now, historically, this has been true for some other cemeteries. They've actually survived conflagration fires pretty well. Because, you know, obvious reasons, it's mostly grass. There's not really much to burn in here. But I guess during the fire, they very smartly, while there was still water pressure, turned on the entire sprinkler system for the whole property. And it really, really helped. Here comes a big adventure van. But unfortunately, you know, the fire still did do some damage. In fact, right down here is what I wanted to show you. This is obviously very new. We're going to go look at some of these headstones too, but you can see these two tree stumps, and at first I thought they were headstones, but then I realized no, those are blackened out tree stumps. So obviously the embers came over and caught these trees on fire. This was, of course, during the Eaton fire in January. And looks like they just recently had to just probably take them down. Look, they were big. They've probably been here a long time. And some of these I'm even looking at right here are from the 20s. Look at that. Father Theodore Coleman, 1942-1933. The Coleman family, 1928. Matthew Coleman, look at that, 1818. He was born in 1818. Died in 1893. But yeah, look at this thing, man. Blacked out. Probably was just burned to a cinder. And this one too, there's another one over there. Actually, there's two more over there by the road. Yeah, look, some of these stones have gotten covered. Well, they'll probably get to it when they can. Here's another interesting old stone. Miss Sarah C. Broad, sister of Reverend J. N. Marsh, died February 24th, 1891, age 70 years and 6 months. Some of these other big ones, too. There's a lot of big ones. I look around, it's just a massive amount of these. Benjamin Marshall Watkins, born December 20th, 1856, died November 1st, 1892. Looks like an iron cross right there is German, more than likely. Interesting. Miller, husband and wife. Died 1891 and 1906. Reverend Jason C. Miller with his wife Mary P. Miller. Now this is interesting. I didn't see this until I just looked over. Look at these. I wonder if ashes are actually buried under there, or if they're just cenotaphs. You know, I would guess that the ashes are probably under there. Because otherwise, why would they have them in the ground like this? Some of the dates on it, pretty wild, 40s, 50s, 60s, I'm seeing even 80s. Looks like there's even some room. There's some sort of helicopter flying. If you can kind of see the mountains, you really can't because of the trees. But the mountains have already obviously been charred out. It's recovered a little bit, I could tell, because it has rained and it's been 5 months, but they look very different than the rest of the other mountains on the other side, all green and forested. Just burned. Wow. God, that must have been a scary day, scary night. Just so many people lost everything. So scary. Forsten, look at the size of this bad boy. That's probably a couple of tons right there. There's the little covering, Mountain View. Oh, looks like they're doing some sort of work over there, not doing the tree. McPherson. Wow, look at somebody. I guarantee you somebody might have planted this, looks like a rose. Looks like pink roses. Oh, it smells so nice. I can smell it from here. That's beautiful. No dates or nothing, just McPherson. Okay, wow, look at this big thing. Gotta take a look at this. There's multiple names and dates on it. The Straffords, the Clevelands. Look, born Plainfield, New Hampshire, September 28th, 1818. Died Pasadena, California, April 10th, 1902. That's interesting. They actually say where they're from. Chicago, Illinois. Something, Ohio. I wonder if this is like Reynolds. Look at these. These are interesting. Just a bunch of letters. I wonder if this is them. I look for the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. 1899, 1918, 1895, not. It's kind of weird. They have a bunch of different last names, but they could be, married into the family, whatnot. Reynolds. I wonder if they're all here, or some of it's just a cenotaph, or what. That's interesting. There's a very unique looking family mausoleum over here I really want to show you. And it looks like another burned out tree they had to remove. Let's take a look. Yeah, here you can get a better view of the office there. There's a hearse right there too. Look at this interesting headstone. Our darling Lindley, born January 9th, 1885, died August 27th, 1888. Only 4 years old. That's very sad. Munger. Yeah, look at this thing. It's kind of small, but very interesting. See what it says on the front. Nothing. Thompson. And there is just a metal gate and nothing inside. That's bizarre. I wonder if they took them out, or if they're underneath here, or what. It's all concrete. No dates, no nothing. Here's Can you ready Thompson Lucey? She must be related. Huh. Wow, look at this bad boy. Let's see if there's anything on it, which I do not see. Wow, there's just nothing written on it. It might belong to these people here, the Lillies. Yeah, Harry Lilly, James Lilly, Janine Lilly, all died in the 20s, 30s, 40s. John Lilly. Huh. Oh, wait. Yeah, at the bottom. Bennett Lilly. So it's just kind of a family marker, I guess. Interesting. Let's go, before we head back, let's take a look at this interesting mausoleum here. It looks like there's a little concrete path here. That's a pretty modern one. Look at that, Herbert E. Koch, 1939 to 2015. You probably bought that plot a long time ago. This black van, I think, belongs to the cemetery. They've been kind of driving around. Maybe they've got reports of some weirdo with a beard and glasses walking around. Langford with the gate. And obviously, they're in there. There's 4 little spots. Chase E. Langford, June 12th, 1893. Maria A. Langford, November 5th, 1935. Interesting, there's no dates of birth. Mabel Williams, November 23rd, 1929. Let's see if we can see John Christopher, April 11th, 1917. Huh. Langford. Interesting. Yeah, there's a much better view of the front office. That's the front gate where you come in. We're not quite done yet. We're going to swing around. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to show you the outside of the little mausoleum, which is known as the Pasadena Mausoleum. The other one, the main one, is called something different, Mountain. Alrighty, so we're at the very bottom part of the cemetery now, near the Sunrise Chapel and the Pasadena Mausoleum. Now, unfortunately, it's not open. I have it inside there. It is very cool. It's beautiful. I would describe it as a medium-sized mausoleum. It's built in the 1920s. Beautiful stained glass work in there. This is where George Reeves is at. Also, some of the tallest columbarium spaces I've ever seen. You can see the ramp they added to make it ADA compliant. So there's no time frame on exactly when it's going to be open, but one day I will show you the inside. Maybe when Tony comes down. But here is the front doors. Totally locked. Here shows that it's part of the endowment care fund. I can at least kind of show you the inside. There's the first level. There's a second level up there. There's even a basement level. You can see the stairs going down. To the left is the columbarium spaces where George Reeves is at. In fact, he's really close. He's just about 10 feet to the left if you walk in. But it is a beautiful, cool mausoleum. Wish I could show it to you with these cool Roman columns. Now there is technically more. It's technically a separate building. You can see the separation. But there is outdoor crypts out there as well. I saw that the last time I was here. This is at the very, I'd say, what word am I looking? Southern part of the entire cemetery is this bad boy. Now my camera is running low on battery, so I think we're going to make this the conclusion of the tour. Mountain View Cemetery. There's always more to see, of course. But my battery is low on my phone and me. I'm hungry, thirsty. I just drove about 3 hours to get here. I still need to go get some food. I have to find a place to sleep tonight. So, thank you very much for joining me on this little adventure today. That was the Mountain View Cemetery and Pasadena Mausoleum in Altadena, California, which seems to be recovering as well as it can recover. Have a nice day. I've just left the cemetery and I drove up north in Altadena, and I'm right in the middle of the area that burned, and it's just an apocalyptic landscape dotted with few buildings that survived, bizarrely enough. This is the only place I felt comfortable enough to even pull over. I don't really want to appear like I'm some sort of disaster tourist, because this is obviously just a terrible event for these poor people. Like, you can see houses up there that survived, but yet these look like they've been cleaned up already, actually. But I pulled over right here because this is very indicative. See, those are gone, burned out trees. Some of it's still not cleaned up. But this is very indicative of what I've been seeing for just blocks upon blocks upon blocks. Just charred, burned, blackened, everything. I just can't imagine what it was like for these poor people then and now and forever. And the people that died, very sad. May they rest in peace. I would linger here longer, but I just don't really think it would be much appreciated. But I pulled over right here because this is very indicative of what this whole city looks like. Just really sad. But wow. Just wow. Incredible.